Sorry. Hi, welcome to Coffee with Chime. I'm Candace Stewart, the Director of Communications.
And I'm Keith Friedenberg, Executive Vice President and COO with Chime. Morning, Candace.
Hi, Keith. So today we're going to talk about the Chime Boot Camp, which has experienced its 30th boot camp this year, this spring in Chicago, and Keith is going to tell us a little bit more about it. I think to begin with, could you explain why boot camp was created? What's the purpose?
Well, I have to credit the Chime Board of Trustees back in the early 2000s, Candace, for having the vision to see an opportunity for Chime to formalize a leadership development program at a time when it was felt the industry didn't have one. So the boot camp itself was developed between 2000 and 2003. And we launched the first boot camp in the fall of 2003. And we weren't sure if the program was actually going to fly. And here we are, 30 boot camps later, over 2,000 graduates and alumni of that program. And it has been a great program, I think, for Chime from the perspective of helping develop future health IT leaders within our industry. The program itself was originally developed to make sure that there was an ongoing development pipeline for future health IT leaders. So in the early days of the program, the intent was really to work with our Chime members to help develop their directors, their number twos, so to speak, to make sure that those individuals were getting the opportunity to get some formalized leadership development and training toward the CIO career path. Over the years, though, it has morphed. The program has turned into a leadership development opportunity, not just for Chime members' direct reports, their number twos, but also for Chime members. In the early days, we saw that about 80% of attendees, the students in the program, were the number twos, those who are on the career path for the CIO role. And only about 20% were actual Chime members. Today, a typical program, that split is 50-50. So about 50% of every class includes Chime members. Now, some of them may be newer to the role or newer to the industry, but that's a real shift that we've seen over time.
So you discussed a little bit about who attends, actually, when you were talking about that. You know, one thing I'm wondering is, because there's been 30 boot camps, have they changed over time?
They have. Every single boot camp is different. Although the boot camp is based on a model of CIO success that we call our CIO Success Factor model, every program is unique. The faculty, and we'll talk a bit more about the faculty in a moment, are constantly changing and updating the learning materials and the content for the students. But more importantly, the students are different every class. And the class is reflective of the students, their diversity, the perspectives that they bring, and the challenges that they're facing. So there's no doubt in my mind that the first class in the fall of 2003 was very, very different from the class that we just had just a few weeks ago in Chicago. But that's appropriate, and the program continues to morph and flex to the needs of the students as well as the needs of the industry.
So let's talk a little bit about the faculty. Who tends to be the faculty, and has it changed as well? Yeah,
the faculty are constantly changing and adapting over the course of time. I think Russ Branzell, our CEO, is the only remaining faculty from the early days of boot camp, but that's good also. The faculty themselves are CIOs in industry. And that has always been a key differentiator for the Healthcare CIO Bootcamp. The program is taught exclusively by faculty who are CIOs, very successful CIOs in the industry. Russ, of course, we've had faculty such as Stephanie Reel at Johns Hopkins and Ed Marks, who's now at Cleveland Clinic. They're all great in their own way, but more importantly, they bring a diversity of perspectives and background and experience to the program that is special and unique at every different CIO bootcamp.
So you talked a little bit about the dynamics of the attendees at boot camp, and it sounds like it's very interactive. Can you give a couple examples of how that happens?
Absolutely. So a couple of things that we do to create real interactive engagement opportunities in the boot camp is, the first thing is a program is designed not to be a sit and get type program. This is not a program where you're going to come in and the faculty are going to teach to you. Now, definitely the faculty put a lot of time and effort into developing materials that they want to share with the class. But more importantly, we do a couple of things to create some interactive opportunities. We have exercises, and these exercises allow the students to work in small groups with their colleagues and peers typically with a faculty member coaching and assisting them. And these exercises that they work on are based on real life examples, often contributed by the faculty themselves. These are challenges that they've faced in their career that they've documented, written up, and we use as a case exercise in the class. And the students really, really seem to enjoy that. It takes the lessons from the CIO Success Factor models and the teachings, the formal teachings from the faculty, and it really brings it home and drives it home in a real world sort of way.
Mm-hmm. And so this last class that occurred in Chicago was interesting because you had several international students as well. Can you talk about that a little bit and how that also affects the dynamics?
Absolutely. And we've seen diversity of our program continue to grow and expand over the last probably decade. Mm-hmm. Certainly we're seeing additional diversity of the students within the U.S., but more importantly now, as CHIME has expanded our support efforts to help IT leaders and CIOs around the world, we're starting to see CHIME members and their direct reports from all over the world come to the boot camp. As an example, we had our furthest ever student travel from Mongolia this year, and he was a great participant. Now the language was a little bit of an issue, but I think the class understood that and the faculty understood that. We worked really, really closely with him to make sure that he was engaged in the process, and I think he had a great result. We also had a student in Chicago from Pakistan, right, and we had one from Belgium, and this is continuing to be sort of an ongoing theme. I think it's important also to mention from a diversity perspective that CHIME is just not about CIOs anymore. CHIME supports health IT leaders and executives, and they have a lot of different roles. We have CMIOs in the class. We have CNIOs in the class. Certainly we have traditional CIOs. We have directors at every level. We have chief technology officers. We've had information security officers, as well as members from all over the globe. And I think that's really, really unique.
So what do the attendees tend to tell you are the takeaways? What are the benefits that they have experienced?
Well, I hate to say this, but probably the biggest surprise, sort of the secret sauce of boot camp, is that it's not about technology. Mm-hmm. It's about leadership development. And a lot of the students who arrive think this is going to be a very technical course. And although the learnings, the teachings, the exercises are framed in health information technology because that's the world that we all live in, it's really a leadership immersion program. It's all about developing core leadership principles to help them be more successful in their careers. And what we've really found is that whether you're a CIO in Mongolia or you're a CIO in Northern California, mm-hmm, and your health systems may be different and reimbursement models, et cetera, may be different, the leadership challenges tend to be the same all around the world. And I think that's really unique with the program itself. I tell the students this every program when we kick off the first night, we're getting to know each other. I tell them that, one, the program is going to give them probably much more than they can take in over the course of 3.5 days. And that's really by design. We want to give them as much as we can, and some of that they're just going to take back, and they can reuse some of the material, reuse some of the things that we provide them. But I tell the students, if there's one thing that you take away from the boot camp, it's a network of colleagues and peers that you can draw on, mm-hmm, for support throughout your professional career.
And that kind of cycles back into leadership as well, correct?
Absolutely. Certainly, we've seen in our history with CHIME that many of the most successful CIOs and health IT leaders in the industry have tremendously strong networks who support them and are there when they have challenges. And more importantly, they tend to share solutions with their colleagues and peers whenever they can help as well.
Yeah, well, that's great. Now, I brought this from the spring.
Now, this
you
is
can
great.
see what boot camp looks like. Now, we have one coming up in the fall as well.
We do. The fall boot camp tends to immediately precede CHIME's Fall CIO Forum, and that is the case this fall as well. We'll be in San Diego, nice, which is going to be a great venue. We'll have to work against those distractions, especially when we're close to the harbor there. But we're excited about it. We'll be in San Diego the October 26th through the 9th. It's actually about 3.5 days, and that immediately precedes the Fall CIO Forum. Mm-hmm. And a little secret for boot camp students who are thinking about, or anybody who's thinking about attending the fall boot camp, is that you have a great opportunity to also extend your stay and stay for the Fall CIO Forum. That's a special benefit that we allow our boot camp students in the fall.
Right. And the fall forum is also going to include some elements of Most Wired.
Absolutely. The fall forum this year has many unique elements, some of which we're revealing now and some of which we'll reveal later. But more importantly, it's the celebration of the Chime Foundation's 21st anniversary. So we have some great things planned and in store. We will also be acknowledging the recipients of the Most Wired for 2018, and we've got some special things planned for that. So in addition to the boot camp, which is preceding all of that, it's going to be a great week of opportunities for education, networking, and professional development.
Oh, that's great. So where would people find information about this?
Well, probably the immediate place that I would suggest anybody go if they're interested in the boot camp or any other programs around Chime is go to the Chime website. That's at chimecentral.org. Of course, if you're following us on LinkedIn or Twitter or Instagram or all those other great social sites, you can probably find information there as well. Or you can just give us a call.
Or send an email.
Or send an email.
So that's great. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
You know, the one thing that I'll share, Candace, about my experience with the CIO Bootcamp, we just finished our 30th program. I've been to all 30. That's right. And I will tell you, I know, surprising, right? One of these days I'll pass that final exam and I won't have to go. But the one thing I think that's important for me is it's an opportunity for us to connect with our members to better understand their challenges and, more importantly, how Chime can better serve and support them. And as we were just talking with Russ Branzel, it never, ever gets stale. There's always an opportunity to learn, even for us. And there's an opportunity to get to know our members and also, more importantly, understand how we can better serve and support Chime members.
Well, thanks. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Candace.
Thank you, everybody out there, for joining us.
Thank you all.